What's up, folks? I'm back with another reaction. Back with more Luca, as well as more Morrissey. And we're returning to the 1991 album Kill Uncle. And not only is it an interesting album title, but the next track is Asian Rut, which I don't quite know what to make of. A rut is something you can get stuck in. That can be literally, physically, but I think more often it's used in the sense of being figuratively or psycho-emotionally stuck in a bad place or unable to move forward in a conceptual manner. So, yeah, an Asian rut, I really don't know what to make of that. I understand both words individually, but not necessarily how they might be linked or what that expression will mean in the context of a larger narrative, so I'll just try to catch what I can. This is Asian Rut by Morrissey, and it's from his 1991 album Kill Uncle.
Strangely the sun still shone. Oh, Asian boy, what are you on? Day or so late. Strangely the sun still shone. Oh, Asian boy, what drugs are you on? Tooled up Asian boy has come to take revenge for the cruel, cold killing of his very best friend. Tooled up Asian boy has come to avenge the cruel, cold killing of his only friend. There's peace through our school. It's so quiet in the hall. It's a strange sign for one of what's to come. Tough and cold and pale, or they may just impale you on railings. Oh, English boys, it must be wrong. 3 against 1. Brake slammed and his gun jammed, and as far as I could tell, brave Asian boy was dealt a blow and fell. I'm just passing through here on my way to somewhere civilized, and maybe I'll even arrive. Maybe I'll even arrive.
What an ending. So, very clearly a specific and detailed and perhaps historio-culturally embedded narrative, which is to say, okay, so we're talking about a few British boys and a drugged up Asian boy who apparently has lost his best and only friend, maybe beaten to the point of dying, though we do also hear reference to a gun that maybe wouldn't fire. But okay, so on an immediate listen, it sounds like some British boys in part of Asia. I did wonder whether it was like Japan specifically, just because, you know, the land of the rising sun and we hear reference to a sun. But of course, like I think China would make more sense historically or in terms of the, you know, colonial history. Nevertheless, it sounds like some British boys, you know, engaged in a beatdown, a jumping, as it might be called here in the U.S., of an Asian child or a young Asian boy, and maybe they beat him senseless and seemingly weren't held to account, whether that's because of, you know, in the context of this colonial authority, you know, they would be able to get away with something like that, and or the remaining Asian boy who's maybe drowning his sorrow in chemical release has no recourse, has no ability to get justice for his friends, and so now maybe, if my brain will work correctly, he's seething with a desire for revenge, but maybe, you know, when he goes to get it, he tries to shoot them, but the gun doesn't work or something like that. And I thought maybe narrator Morrissey was embedded in this story, but by the end it sounds like he's just a passerby who happens to witness part of this scene and is longing to get back, maybe in a culturally patronizing manner, to more civilized lands, whether, you know, going back to England. And I think that line is perhaps issued in a, you know, self-aware, like it's, you know, like a punk rock lyric where it's speaking from the voice of the person who's actually being criticized by the lyric. So maybe there's a recognition of the patronizing cultural attitude of, you know, colonial Britons who were out in India or China or these other places and who were trying to civilize in a sort of, who is it, Kipling, the, you know, the white man's burden type of concept, which I know people debate that, like, is that a self-aware narrative, or was he saying it in that patronizing tone sincerely? But yes, it sounds like maybe there's a bit of that self-aware critique that's part of the lyrics of the narrator who's observing these things. But I don't know, I feel like there's maybe aspects of this that I'm missing or maybe misinterpreting. But yes, it sounds like someone, excuse me, has been killed, and the remaining child in this Asian land with the Asian sun in the sky, if that's not a metaphor, and of course it could be functioning on multiple levels, is out for revenge but maybe doesn't get it in the end, and it's just part of this, you know, these are the kind of things that you see when you're out in the colonial world attitude by the narrator. So yeah, sonically I love it. It's very much infused with Asian instruments and sounds. We get not only a stringed, or a bowed rather, Asian stringed instrument, but that, I forget, you know, and there's different variants of this in some different musical cultures in East Asia, but that plucked type of string instrument, I think there's a gong in there, as well as some lighter, like bells or chimes, and by the end definitely heard a smaller type of bell instrument. So there's a musical or sonic atmosphere that geographically puts us in that environment that is being described by the narrative. So a really compelling tune, even if I'm not quite sure what's happening. And his vocals in this one, you can feel the pain, the loss, the sadness, and maybe the critique of the environment that's being described by the lines. So yeah, really interesting tune. Curious to hear what people have to say about this one. Once again, shout out to Seb for sharing the solo Morrissey material. Shout out to Luca for once again being Horizontal Cat. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Peace.